In this episode, a woman takes her dog for a walk for the last time. The two of them are being watched by a 9-foot alligator on a country estate in South Carolina. When the dog ventures too close to the water's edge, the alligator launches an attack, grabbing its leash and pulling it into the lagoon. Rushing to her dog's aid, the alligator turns its focus to her. Hit that like button and subscribe right now. This is the terrifying alligator attack on Cassandra Klein. Welcome to Final Affliction. Cassandra Klein, known as Sassy, was a 45-year-old kindergarten teacher. She was planning on retiring from her job in just 1 year's time, something she was looking forward to, but she never got to enjoy her retirement. She lived and worked in Endicott, in upstate New York. She had worked in the local school system for 16 years and was currently a much-loved teacher at George Johnson Elementary School in Endicott. But she and her husband liked to spend their spare time in their holiday home on Hilton Head Island in South Carolina. The island is a barrier island in Beaufort County. It is a popular vacation destination with miles of beachfront overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. There is a plethora of wildlife, including manatees and loggerhead turtles, that frequent the surrounding waters. In fact, beachside residents are not permitted to use artificial light at nighttime during the summer months to shield the turtles from navigating the wrong way when they come up onto the beach to lay their eggs. But South Carolina is also home to a population of around 100,000 alligators. Residents living on Hilton Head Island are used to seeing the alligators crossing the road from one body of water to the next. There are thought to be a few thousand on the island, and whilst they can be an incredible sight, they are also incredibly dangerous. Signs are erected near ponds and lakes, warning people to stay away from the water. Residents know to keep small children and animals away from the lakesides. Cassandra was on vacation at her holiday home in Pines Plantation. It was a gated community on the island, encompassing 5,200 acres of private residential grounds. On site were 4 golf courses and beautiful walkways with wooden benches looking out over the lagoons. Cassandra and her husband planned to retire there and had visited many times before. Cassandra knew the dangers of alligators and always went out of her way to avoid them. She walked a safe distance from any freshwater habitats and never did any activities like feeding the local ducks. But on August 20th, 2018, something terrible happened. Instinct took over. She made a fatal mistake. It was a Monday morning, and the residential estate was quiet. Cassandra stepped out of her home to take her beloved dog, Kylie, for a walk. Her 4-legged companion was a Shetland sheepdog, a devoted member of the family. According to her mother, Cassandra wasn't able to have children, and so her dogs were her babies. She loved them dearly. Just 2 weeks before that fateful day, one of her dogs had died. She had been devastated at the loss and now only had Kylie by her side. She would do anything to look after her pets and was as devoted to them as they were to her. The walk Cassandra was on took them around the side of a lagoon, a large lake along the golf course that was home to a 9-foot 2-inch alligator. Cassandra kept her distance from the water. She knew the risks in South Carolina's freshwater lagoons. Witnesses reported seeing her walking at least 14 feet from the edge of the water, something she always did. But her dog wasn't necessarily aware of the danger, as she sniffed the undergrowth and followed her nose around the bases of the surrounding tree trunks. Also, out and about before 8 a.m. that morning was a Sea Pines greenkeeper on the golf course. He was working on the 13th green as Cassandra and her dog walked around to the other side of the lagoon. The footsteps of Kylie near the lagoon's bank alerted the alligator to the potential prey. The vibrations reverberated down the bank and into the water. The alligator's keen senses picked them up, and it silently moved closer. In the warmer months, alligators are much more active. The heat of the summer increases their metabolisms, and they need to eat more regularly to maintain their function. They are more aggressive hunters as a result and are more dangerous. This particular alligator could see the two walking side by side along the bank, just yards from the water's edge. The alligator was camouflaged, its dark-colored skin merging into the murky water and hidden amongst the shadowy reflections on the water's surface. Only the knobbly head protruded out of the water as it floated along silently. It watched the dog intently, its eyes unblinking. Then Kylie pottered down to the water, and, as quick as a flash, the alligator leapt from the lagoon. In that split second, the dog jumped backwards and the alligator missed out, but it somehow managed to grab hold of Kylie's leash. The dog scrambled on the grass as the alligator pulled her towards the water. Cassandra screamed and instinctively ran down the grassy bank to save her dog. She didn't think about her own safety. She just saw her dog in danger and ran to help. The golf course greenkeeper heard the screams and looked up. He could see the commotion and the battle between Cassandra and the alligator on the other side of the lagoon from where he was. A tug-of-war ensued, with Cassandra pulling as hard as she could on Kylie's lead and the alligator pulling back. The strength and power from the reptile pulled both the woman and the dog into the water. Cassandra was now knee-deep in the lagoon. She was dangerously close to the powerful jaws of one of America's apex predators, but she wasn't about to let her dog go. She had already lost one just a couple of weeks before. Incredibly, as she fumbled with the leash, she managed to unclip it from Kylie's collar. This released the dog, who leapt onto dry land. But when the dog was pulled free, the alligator swiped its head to the side and immediately latched onto Cassandra. She screamed again as she was pulled further into the water. It had a firm grip around her lower leg. The worker on the green immediately pulled out his mobile phone and dialed 911.
911, where's your emergency?
Yeah, there's a lady being attacked by an alligator.
Where at, sir?
I'm in Pines.
Okay, where at in Sea Pines?
Hole number 13 of the club course. I'm not sure what the road is.
Okay, you said that she's being attacked by an alligator?
Yes, drag her in the water.
Okay, how big was it?
It's probably about 8 feet, maybe 7.
It's dragging her into the water?
And she's in the water right now.
Okay, what hole are you on?
It's the hole number 13 up near the green. I'm driving to where the road is so I can tell you the road. I'll be at the road in like 30 seconds.
Okay, was anybody still out there with her?
No, there's one other person there. They just, what do you do? Just jump in the water? I don't know.
Whilst he was on the call, he saw Cassandra being dragged further into the water. His heart leapt as the woman disappeared beneath the surface and the dog watched on from the safety of the bank. The operator immediately dispatched emergency services to the scene. Underwater, Cassandra was fighting for her life. She punched and poked the alligator on the head and snout, but it refused to let go. She could feel herself growing weak and faint. Her lungs were about to burst, but still the alligator held her firmly in its grip, just below the surface. In less than a minute, Cassandra had drowned in the lagoon, whilst the worker at the 13th hole helplessly looked on. When emergency services arrived, they could see Cassandra in the water. They managed to catch the alligator, shoot it, and pull Cassandra from the lagoon. They immediately began CPR, but tragically, it was too late. Cassandra had drowned. She had significant injuries to her arms and hands, where she had bravely fought the 9-foot reptile. Kylie the dog was unharmed in the attack. When Cassandra's family were informed of the incident, they broke down in tears. Her sister broke the news to her mother at work. They couldn't believe that this kind of freak accident had happened to such a lovely young woman. It broke them. Cassandra was always smiling. She was always happy and would lend a hand to anybody in need. For this to happen to the kindest, most upbeat person they knew was just devastating. It was only the second fatal alligator attack known to have happened in South Carolina. It was an incredibly rare incident, but one which shook the local community and all those who knew Cassandra. As for her colleagues and pupils in the elementary school where she worked, the tragedy also hit hard. She was an inspiration to her students who will never forget her and the tragic day that she met her terrifying final affliction.